Well, hello. This new game, Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League, looks pretty good. Before I do any research, I should probably buy it and start playing it.
And this is when Future Tanner in the skit swoops in and goes, "Wait,
Exactly.
I've come from the future,
Whoa,
from the
before you do
world
it,
of tomorrow,
the world of tomorrow.
and I've come to give you a dire warning." Oh, I forgot to crack my soda open, so there we go. There's that. There's a nice little crack. This stream is not sponsored by Sprite, but I do love Sprite. But anyways, hello people. I've
Free
come.
publicity is right, man.
Yeah, no, I love me some Sprite. Anyways, hello, everybody. Welcome back to our second roast. A roast that wasn't planned, but was sparked because of an innocent question asked by our very best friend of the channel, Mr. David. How are you doing, Mr. David?
I'm doing well. And yes, this was a pleasant surprise because I asked an innocent question and did not realize Tanner had a rant in the chamber, like ready to fire,
Oh,
which
yeah.
I fully support. Uh,
So this is the epitome of like that meme where it's like, "How do you feel about this?" And somebody says, "Oh, let me tell you," and then proceeds to send a 6 hour voice memo. This is that meme, but I'm not going to try and make it 6 hours. I've actually agonized over how to format this because like it's a mess, as most of these kind of stories are. It's a mess, and it involves people on all sides being idiots, and a lot of drama, and a lot of hearsay, and a lot of things that have come out after the fact. So there's the usual thing, the things that are associated with this. And I was going to kind of break it all down and get into all of that, but that would probably leave us here for 6 hours. So I don't think we're going to do that. There are far
yeah, I feel like
better people.
this will not be a Falcon and the Winter Soldier situation, a Brave New World where you'll have 3 hours of.
You might be surprised. I don't think maybe it won't go that long, but I would not put it under 45 minutes though either. So buckle
Mhm.
up. But I'm going to answer the question as it is pointed at me. Because you didn't ask me if I liked Suicide Squad, Kill the Justice League. You asked
No.
me if I defend it. And that is a very important distinction to make because the short answer to that is that I kind of do. Um,
Yeah.
so for everybody tuning in, the question that was posed to me that broke this rant was
Yeah. Read the inciting innocent question.
it was remind me, do you defend Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League? And then you followed up and said, I know it's a divisive game, but I remember you were kind of annoyed at some of the criticism. And
Yes,
yes,
and now, before you go on the rant, can I add another bit of context?
yes, add another bit of context.
I did remember after sending that at least one part of the nature of the criticism and your response.
Yeah,
So
what was it?
definitely we have to include some of that because I distinctly remember there was a lot of backlash around the Superman design, which I agree with you. I remember finding that very silly and overblown at the time. But I'm sure it's a much bigger question than just whether Superman looks cool or not in that
Yes.
movie. Yeah, in that game.
So, in the interest of, I'll do my fair because there's a couple of things I want to say up at the top. This is a rant, so there's gonna be some ranting involved because that's what this is. It's a roast. Um,
Yep.
it's okay to like a game. In this case, I'd even argue I would agree with you on liking that game, but with some major caveats. So
Mhm.
I wouldn't say that I hate this game by any means, but we'll get into what that means in a moment. There will be cursing because that's what the roast is. And also I have no filter with these.
Yeah,
Um,
can I say something else also up front?
yes,
That's been
go ahead.
bothering me ever since our last roast. I said, "Oh yeah, go full Adam Carolla," when I meant to say go full Greg Giraldo because he was the roast guy on Comedy Central who would curse a lot. He was who I was mainly thinking of. So I
Gotcha.
meant to say go full Greg
I will
Giraldo.
go full. I will go full there. So yeah. So that's just off the top, a little bit of housekeeping before we get into things. So yeah, welcome. So the short answer to this is that yes, I do defend Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League. It is a very divisive game, but I don't even think it's divisive anymore. I think it's just straight up hated. I really don't think I would. You would struggle to find somebody who probably likes it that isn't me. There are
Right, right.
some people that
The numbers bear it out because it was this was inspired by a couple months ago. I think it was like 4.99 on Steam to buy Suicide. I think that number has jumped back
it's
up.
free now. You can, well, it
Yes,
was free a couple times. Like they did it free for Amazon Prime Day, and
they
I
were try
believe,
they couldn't get people to they were trying to give it away
yeah,
was how much. Yeah,
yeah. So I mean, it's free now. You can, or
yeah.
it might cost money now, but I think it's been also delisted because it's also in a case where like WB has straight up washed their hands of it. Like they don't
Yeah.
want anything to do with it. And you know, I'm gonna say this up at the top.
Hmm.
The this is gonna be a wider rant, but it's more just a statement. Companies don't give a fuck about how you feel about your beloved characters and worlds and fuck, not franchises. Your what's the word I'm thinking of? It's not franchises. It's properties. The properties. The properties
Yeah.
that you love are just dollar signs to these people. Like
Yeah, of course.
the reason why this is kind of interesting that it came out that you asked me this just now is because it's recently come out that like the person that was in charge of WB Games was a really bad dude and like wouldn't listen to the people he was working with and was like frequently confused about stuff and like that internal drama that again I'm not going to get into because there's just so much of it, but like essentially to boil it down in a nutshell is WB Games, their games division, was run by a dude who by all intents and purposes, if you believe the rumors and hearsay, which there's always a vein of truth to them, was not a good dude and didn't really understand video games.
Mm.
And that's part of the reason why this has all happened because recently he resigned or he stepped down. Zavlav came in and was like, "Oh, we're gonna be restructuring things and we're gonna be focusing on these core properties and these core properties
Yeah.
are
Noted gamer David Zaslav, right?
yeah
No.
noted big time gamer David
Yeah, yeah.
Zavlav and basically said that the future of WB Games is only going to be focused on 5 things: Harry Potter, Game of Thrones.
Hmm.
There was something else, and then it was
Which is why they like they greenlit like 8 spin-offs and I think like 1 or 2 of them are actually happening for
yeah,
Game of Thrones. But like
exactly.
there is a secret vault somewhere that has like 8 pilots for Game of Thrones shows they gave up on, which is crazy. But anyway.
Absolutely. That's why, like, the only new WB game that's coming out in the next couple of years is going to be a Game of Thrones game because it's
Yes,
the only
that Game
thing.
of Thrones
It's the only thing
thing.
they had ready to go. They basically they fired and cut down a whole bunch of studios. Like, and this is
Mhm.
massive people have lost their jobs. Hundreds of people are now having to figure out what's going on with their work and stuff. It's a shitty situation, and it didn't need
Yeah,
to happen. And
a lot
you
of
know,
layoffs.
a lot of layoffs. And the funny thing is I have noticed this about Zavlav, and I think people need to start waking up about it. He is hiding behind fucking James Gunn. Like that dude
Yeah.
is 100. Like if you think like you see James Gunn and you're like, oh, he's like me. It's good that these properties are in his hands. And yes, to a point that is correct. But
Yeah,
at the
finally,
same time,
a real nerd is in
yeah,
charge. Someone
finally a
with
real nerd is in charge.
real passion for these characters or
A
whatever.
real
Yeah,
people's man, a man of the people, because he
yeah.
also
Exactly.
got in this and was like, "Oh, we're gonna be changing things, and I want to see some games that tie into to these movies that we're creating down the line, and we're gonna be talking to game developers and like he more or less kind of is co-leading this change to the
Yeah.
game division. But again,
Anyone's ever seen the movie The Hudsucker Proxy? That's the James Gunn is Tim Robbins. He's like this rube who with a real innocent idea who's being brought in to be the patsy for
yeah,
these corporate.
again, I'm not saying James Gunn is a total patsy. Obviously, Superman looks great. I am very excited
Yeah,
for it. I
I'm
do
quite excited
think
for Superman as well.
I do think Zavlev is smart enough to realize that James Gunn does need a certain amount of control, but do never think for a second that part of the reason why it is always James Gunn and Zaslav talking about things is because Zaslav is very aware that he is hated and that people don't like him, and is very
Yeah.
aware that he doesn't present the best face for these things, and is 100% hiding behind James Gunn.
No, no, no. Yeah, and then there is a. I mean, you can. I mean, what proof is what more proof in the pudding than you know who David Zaslav is? You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
previous CEOs were kind of able to be a fairly anonymous, but David Zaslav has done a great job at making normal people know who he is and hate him, which is take some talent for an
which
exec.
is
I
also
feel.
incredible. Yeah, which is incredible because usually they're faceless guys in suits that you could not care less about. So
Yeah.
it is impressive, and I think that's again one of the reasons why it's always James Gunn and Zaslav. It's never just Zaslav anymore.
Yeah,
Like he's always in whatever meeting they reference. It's always like Zaslav and Gunn, and I'm just like, yeah, I know. It's because
it's
nobody wants to deal with you on your own, and you're
it's
aware
the
of
scene
that.
in, it's the scene in the Dead Zone where Martin Sheen like picks up the baby to block the gun fire when President Martin Sheen puts the baby in front of the gunman.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
110%. But like, the reason I mention that is because again, this the whole situation behind Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League is a byproduct of that, and a byproduct of a guy coming in the 11th hour whose answer to anything that isn't making profit is just to cut every bit of money that is going into it, and then moving everything to a different project. Like, the reason why Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League doesn't get any better in its last 4 seasons is not entirely because of that, but it does play a big feature into that, because you can very much tell from halfway through the post credit or the post credit stuff or the season 1 stuff that they just don't have any money anymore. And then it came down the line that all the group had been moved around, that they're now working on a single player Batman game that's a couple years away, because in this whole thing, Zavlav did mention that he wanted to focus on DC, but he said specifically Batman, which means for the next couple years, all we're going to get is Batman games, which we already have a million Batman games. That's part of the
Yeah,
problem.
I remember when this was announced, I was kind of like, because I huge cultural blind spot for me. I never got into any of the Arkham games, even though I know they're the most beloved games ever, yada yada
Yeah,
yada. But even I remember when they announced this, me going like, "Oh, that's kind of neat. They're not just doing another Arkham Knight, Arkham City, whatever.
yeah,
Like, they're mixing it up a little bit."
they did, and they got burned for it, and now because of that, we will get Batman for the foreseeable future, which again really sucks because we have a million and one Batman games, and there are so many interesting characters in the DC world. They actually just
A Green Lantern game would kind of rule, for
a Green Lantern
example.
game. They just canceled the Wonder Woman game, so that's not happening anymore. Now that had a
Ah,
troubled development, but like even so, a game where you play as Wonder Woman, that seems like such a no-brainer. But no, now it's just gonna be
yeah,
the
you can punch and kick your way around. I'm thinking a Green Lantern game would be kind of cool if you made it look like that No Man's Sky, like it was like essentially a flight simulator. You would just fly around as a lantern to different planets and save the day. That would
yeah.
be
Well,
kind of
it
cool.
should be a space opera RPG kind of game. Like
Yeah,
it's absolutely crazy because Marvel again is I'm going to say Marvel's in a weird spot because really the only big games they've done is Marvel Rivals, which is a cultural phenomenon at this point, and also the Spider-Man games. But like they've
a
got
dude at
stuff.
work. A dude at work. We were doing icebreakers, like because it was my first day at a new job. Spoilers
Yeah,
for
yeah.
real life.
Spoilers for real
But
life.
yeah, yeah, yeah. We were asked to go around and say what show or book or movie or game we were playing, and some dude was like Marvel Rivals. So
Yep.
there it is.
But Marvel Rivals has a million and one characters in it. They've got a Black Panther game in development. They've got an Iron Man game in development. There's a Captain America game that's coming out that's going to be him in World War II with T'Challa's grandfather. Like, again, it's so funny how like WB just continues to trail behind in this race. Like, I was no big fan of Captain America Brave New World, and I'm pretty sure Superman's going to be better. But I can't deny that, like, at least Captain America Brave New World is not having to restart the whole, reinvent the whole wheel. You know?
We've talked about this a million times, but I feel like, once again, it applies to this Suicide Squad, is, again, DC in trying to rush to catch up with Marvel. They've actually tripped and fallen, like, way further behind each time, like, because they don't just...
DC games are months out now because of everything that had went and said. And there's a couple reasons why. It's because they continue to chase the live service thing, which is very, very hard to do. And WB will always hurt itself because it will always compare itself to its last success story. And, you know, there are things that, you know, you're only as good as your last success, or you're only as good as your last role, all that stuff. But that that's not necessarily the truth from a business perspective.
No, I think that's an old, like, business advice, but I think it's wrong and often leads you to make bad decisions.
Which they do in this case, because they compared Suicide Squad to Hogwarts Legacy, which is a very different game because it's a single-player game, and it's also the first Harry Potter game that ever came out that wasn't a movie tie-in. It made $1 jillion, and because the Suicide Squad didn't make $1 jillion, funding was almost immediately cut for it because they were like, oh, it's a wash. So Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League is a live service game. It is a game.
Now, what is a live service game? Define that.
A live service game is a game that is meant to be played indefinitely. So the content continues to roll after the main credits roll. So
okay, so by my old man comparisons, like RuneScape.
You know how, like, WoW, which is,
it's
not like MMOs are different because they're massive multiplayer online games. But like you know how WoW never ends. Technically, there's a million and one expansions.
Club Penguin never ends.
Yeah,
I can log back in anytime I want.
So the goal is that you play the game, you go through the main mission. The game then ends in a way that means there's more to do. So you finish, like, we'll call it chapter 1 or you get to the midpoint, and then the game is kind of like, well, now we're opening up and you kind of have XYZ that you have to do. And, we're going to keep introducing new heroes. We're going to keep adding new things, keep giving you new missions to handle, etc., etc. That's the mindset there. The mindset is that
so it is a little bit like like World of Warcraft, in that there are, like, if this had been a success, it would go on for years, and there would be different, like, new events and stories that would pop up, and the characters would play that, and you, the player, could be like, oh, cool, time to play the new chapter, Suicide Squad, Rise of Vandal Savage, or whatever.
Exactly. The idea is that you break it up into seasons, right? So you have, you have seasons, you have mini seasons within that season. It gets complicated because usually there's one big overall season, and then there are episodes within that season. So they do the TV format essentially, but they try and apply it in a video game sense. For instance, in Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League, the game. I'm gonna give you the synopsis. I'll even give you a little rundown of kind of what happens.
All right.
Basically, in Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League is a game that's set in the Arkham universe, which is, even if you don't know of what it is, you know of it because it is synonymous with Batman now. It is
a very, very popular game in its own right, considered one of the best games ever made, yada, yada, yada.
People will tell you Arkham City is the best superhero game I don't necessarily agree with that. I think Arkham City does our boy Hugo Strange very dirty in a way that
Mm.
I can't quite stomach. They basically make him a member of the League of Shadows, and
Oh, weird.
his whole bit is like that he's kind of setting up this protocol to kill all the criminals within Gotham. But then it's revealed kind of at the end that he's doing it for his master, or not Vandal Savage,
Ra's al
Ra's al
Ghul.
Ghul, and I hate that so much.
Yeah, that's
I hate it so much that I can't. Like people look at me like I've grown a third head when I tell them that I don't like Arkham City as much, and that's one of the main reasons. I cannot stand that. Like it's just he was just a member of the League of Shadows the entire time. I'm like, no,
yeah.
Hugo Strange is a very interesting villain who does not need that added to it to make him
Doesn't need to be
interesting.
tied into a bigger, like, world-ending, like, character like Ra's al Ghul, I
Yeah,
guess. Yeah.
exactly. It's just,
Wait,
but
that doesn't.
anyways,
No, no. I vaguely remember Arkham City, and isn't it also like at the end of the day they fight the Joker at the end, like every other
yeah. Well,
thing?
see, that's so the other thing
Always
about
with,
that
always
game.
with the Joker.
The other thing
Always
about
with.
that game is that Joker is dying because of what he did in Arkham Asylum, and he ships his poison blood to a bunch of hospitals so that they'll use it so that way Batman has to get a cure for him because
Then
people are
all the
gonna
little
die.
children will be infected.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
though why that happens and like why the hospital didn't check this blood or like anything like
Who kno-
that isn't really
We're just like,
explained.
oh, some mysterious blood has arrived at our door. Like,
You
great.
assume that he paid good people to make it like fucking work, but it's never
Yeah, seem
explained.
legit or whatever. But
Yeah, and then he also poisons Batman with this irradiated blood.
no,
So
just for good measure. All right.
yeah, and then it ends with the Joker. Batman is like, for some reason, Joker gets it in his head that Batman isn't gonna inject him and save him, so he like attacks Batman and
With
causes
Clayface or something, right?
yeah, and causes Batman to drop the vial, and so Joker dies in his arms, and then Batman is like, "Just so you know, I would have saved you anyways." And Joker's like, "Oh, that is funny," and then dies laughing. And like, it's very
I
well
remember
done.
that.
It's Mark Hamill in
Yeah, yeah,
that.
yeah. And it was one of the last big Mark Hamill Conroy things,
Yeah,
and people were
it's Mark
like,
Hamill and
"Oh, cool."
Conroy, and they'll always bring it. Though I will say, we'll get to it, but one of the reasons why I defend the game is because of is has something to do with Conroy. Um, but it's all very well done. It's just also kind of boring. Like I like Origins the best, which is a Batman prequel that's a
Mm.
Christmas Eve story. It's called Arkham Origins. It's a Christmas
I do,
Eve
I do, I do like Batman at
it's a
Christmas. That's
Christmas
always.
Eve Batman story, and it involves him fighting the Joker for the first time. And the premise also is that Black Mask hires 5
Hey,
assassins to kill Batman on Christmas Eve. It's really like people look at me like I'm insane, but that is to me the better Batman Arkham Origins game. It's very good. It's got a very good story, and even though it does tie back into Joker,
yeah, more Joker,
It
but
is Joker and Batman's first fight in that universe, and it's very well done. Um, but yeah, so Arkham Origins. So I'm gonna tell you how Arkham City ends because it's important to this. I'm gonna try and be as succinct as possible with all of this, but you
yeah, because
have to understand.
there's four Batman Arkham games officially, and then there's like a couple of spin-offs and a VR one, and then
There's 2
Suicide
VR
Squad
ones now,
kills
but
the
yeah,
Justice League, right?
yeah. But I have to give you how Arkham Knight ends in order for you to fucking understand anything I'm about to talk about. Arkham Knight ends with Scarecrow revealing Batman's identity to all of Gotham City. Everybody knows it's Bruce Wayne. So they he instigates something called Nightfall Protocol, which I'm sure you're familiar with. There's been plenty of Nightfall protocols in the fucking comics. It's always Batman and his weird protocol names. But anyways, so he blows up Wayne Manor at the end of Arkham Knight. He blows
The
up.
Scarecrow.
No, Batman does.
Batman blows up Arkham.
Batman blows up Wayne Manor. What happens is you
Batman blows up Wayne Manor.
you 100% the game. He rolls up to Wayne Manor with his mask off, but as Batman because everybody knows at this point, so he doesn't give a fuck. So he rolls up to Wayne Manor. All the paparazzi's outside. He walks in with Alfred. 10 minutes later, the mansion blows up. So that's how. And then it cuts to like a year later, and Gordon is about to become mayor of Gotham, and he's talking about how he misses Batman and all that stuff. And it cuts to an alleyway where a kid is about to be blah 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 with their parents. But oh no, there's a new Batman, and this Batman seems to use Scarecrow's fear gas to terrorize criminals. And that's how Batman Arkham Knight
Batman Bartham Asylum ends.
Batman Arkham Knight ends. And that's, you would think, with Batman faking his death and him being revealed, that would be the end of Batman's story in this universe. Well, Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League is a sequel to that game. At some point after the events, I think it's like 2 or 4 years. It's in between 2 and 4 years after Arkham Knight. Batman decides to come out of faked my deafness to join the Justice League. So I don't know if it's
before we're killing the Justice League, we're Batman joining the Justice League.
It happens at one point in between that 4-year gap. By the time the game starts, the Justice League have been a thing. But like somewhere in between all the nonsense, Batman decided to come out of fake deafness to join the Justice League with Superman and everybody else, even though he's already lost his secret identity. So that's how all that goes. So Batman, goes to Metropolis. The game, so there's this
but is it kind of like the Dark Knight Returns where it's like, oh, I faked my death because I can do more good, anonymous.
He faked his death so he could be an even better Batman who is implied to use Scarecrow's fear gas. I don't know why he decides to use fear gas, but that's just part of his shtick now. But then he decides to, hey, I guess I don't want to be anonymous anymore, so I'm gonna come out of the woodwork and join forces with Superman. And there's a poster of us shaking hands with me without my cowl. So that's how.
Is he still using fear gas?
I do not know. He must. Yeah, I think he does because like when you do the Batman fight, he uses fear gas. So like,
so that's now become his new weapon.
I don't know if Superman's just okay with that shit or what. It's very.
He's like, all right, it's fine. You can use chemical warfare on people.
You can gas criminals if you want, I guess. So it's the Justice League's big day, right? They're big. It's called Justice League Day at Metropolis.
Yeah, their coming out party
because they couldn't think of a fucking better name for it besides Justice Day. And lo and behold, Brainiac attacks.
So, Brainiac, Superman.
Yeah, Brainiac himself. Brainiac comes to Metropolis. He fights the Justice League. He seemingly defeats them, and then, oh no!
The Suicide Squad doesn't kill the Justice League. Brainiac kills the Justice League.
It's implied that he defeats them and/or kills them. Okay. But lo and behold, suddenly, in Metropolis, there are evil Justice League members.
Ooh, Justice Lords, you could say.
Oh, I fucking wish. You're already making this game better than it ever was by just saying that one sentence. But anyway, so the city of Metropolis falls. All of the people get like turned into his cannon fodder, so that way you have a bunch of minions to shoot. And
so you're shooting all the citizens of Metropolis.
Yeah, so you're shooting all. But you are like that is not a gross estimation.
Harley Quinn's just smashing all these innocent people with hammers.
You watch the Brainiac squid robots, turn them into actual enemies, and then you shoot them. So
Mhm.
that is 100% a thing. Um, and so the city is like for reasons I don't quite remember. The invasion is contained only to Metropolis during
Yeah,
the
yeah,
events of the
right.
game. So Brainiac invades. He seemingly defeats our biggest champions, but then he can't leave the city of Metropolis. He can't. City zoning laws prevent him from being able to go anywhere else.
Right.
We know bureaucracy is the greatest enemy of Brainiac. But
Yeah.
so the game starts with you going to with Amanda Waller and Argus pulling up to
Oh,
Arkham
my
Asylum.
favorite character, Amanda Waller. I love
Yeah,
seeing her.
yeah. I it's crazy how much like play this woman gets for what she actually is in the comics. Even in that
Ooh.
fucking Creature Commando, she's like
Yeah, she pops up.
she's one of the
That's
main cast members.
wild.
I know it's just crazy. But anyway, so
I love comic book Amanda Waller, and I kind of wish they would just let Viola Davis play her someday, where it's just like I'm a shady villain lady, and that's cool. You know
yeah,
what I mean?
yeah, no,
Instead of I gotta be the Nick Fury of this world.
yeah, no, it's really just like she just had a whole comic book arc where she was the villain and like she tackled the Justice League and everything. Like it's crazy what they give her compared to what she is in the comics.
Mm-hmm.
So Amanda Waller goes. Bear in mind, she is aware at this point that the Justice League is turned. She is sending in a squad to kill the Justice League. She decides to send King Shark. She decides
Okay.
to send Captain Boomerang.
Yay, who
She
I've heard is one of the better characters to play as,
Yes,
right?
we'll get to that. The reason why I defend it. She sends in Harley Quinn, and then she
Mm-hmm.
sends in Deadshot. That's her. That's the initial lineup. Harley Quinn, Deadshot.
Those are those are her starting five in basketball terms. Like
Yes,
you pick the five to go out on the field
her. These are
first.
the best people I can pick to face Superman. These are her
Mhm.
picks. Which again, the idea of the Suicide Squad, and this is going to be the first little mini rant. The idea that the Suicide Squad is made to defeat the Justice League is fucking bonkers. And will never
Yeah.
not be fucking bonkers. And is
Mhm.
not what the Suicide Squad is in the fucking comics. It's never
No,
been that. It has
and
always
also like
been a goon squad. That is all they are. They are
yeah,
sent to do in, like,
because
essentially,
if you were gonna pick five villains from the DC universe that could kill the Suicides, that could kill the Justice League,
Harley
you would
Quinn would
not
not
be
fucking
picking.
be one of them.
No. You would you would be like, all right, I need like Metallo and Black
General
Adam and
Zod, yeah,
exactly
Black
like
Adam.
some real strong guys. I would think, yeah, like
Like, it's not the closest you can get to what the Suicide Squad actually is. Is again, this is Gunn being Gunn, but James Gunn's version of that movie is technically the closest to what the comic books is because they're just dudes who Waller sends in because they're cannon fodder and she wants to do shit that she doesn't want the American government to know about.
yeah,
That is
it's a
their
shady
intention.
mission. It's a shady like Black Ops assassination mission in another country. That seems perfect for the Suicide Squad.
Yes,
Like,
exactly. Like, and this is the first problem with the game. This is why, again, I will tell you, this is part of the overall reason why the question is complicated. The do I defend the Suicide Squad game? I do because the people who don't defend it are fucking insufferable. Like, you will get the kind of people who are just like, oh, well, that doesn't make sense. That's not accurate. Why is Harley Quinn
yeah.
able to shoot super? It doesn't fucking matter. It's a video game about a comic
Like
book property.
the haters are extremely nitpicky.
Yeah,
It's all like the plot hole. The wings don't work like that or whatever.
yeah,
It's
and
that kind of crap.
that leads into like that'll lead into that's actually a great point because like one of the things I'm gonna jump around a little bit because fuck it, you've
Yeah, yeah,
brought
yeah.
it to the forefront of my attention. One of the problems I have with the game is that people really hate the way it did Batman's character. And I agree with that to a point. There is some stupidity to it. But people are just insufferable about it because it was Kevin Conroy's last performance, or one of his last performances, Batman. And people are fucking nutso about the Arkham Batman games. So it becomes this thing where, like, the minute they determine that any disrespect has been done to that character, they come out of the woodwork screaming about it and biting people's heads off and being just absolutely like, oh, I can't believe they would do this. They did the character so wrong. They tarnished Kevin Conroy's entire legacy. No, the fuck they didn't.
No.
The dude has been Batman for 35 fucking years. Probably even longer than that. It's probably closer to 40.
And in a lot of things that are not that great, I will say, like,
Yeah,
you know,
like-
I love the man, but dude played Batman over 100 times, and it wasn't always in amazing projects, and it was never like an insult to him that
Yeah,
they were
like-
bad.
And he probably had a fucking blast because it required him to play a Batman that was a little evil. And that probably was fun. At the end of
Yeah,
doing
after
Batman.
playing Batman 200 times, he might as well, you know.
Yeah, like it's just what happens is it's basically they defeat Batman, and Harley Quinn shoots him in the head, and that and in a rain soaked scene, he's in the middle of in the fucking Superman Square, and he's monologuing about how they're all crappy and how he thinks
Tiananmen Square.
yeah, he's basically being mean to them. He's villain monologuing. It's really fun, and Harley Quinn just brings up the gun and shoots him in the head, and that's the end of that. And people
Suicide Squad kills the Justice League guy.
Oh, it tarnishes his whole legacy, and it's so dirty to the character. Yada yada yada. It's just like it's so fucking stupid because you and I, even you, a person who doesn't play video games, do you think that the Suicide Squad actually kills the Justice League? Do you think that actually happened?
I'm gonna guess no, that does not happen.
Do you think for a second that like this tale that I'm about to weave to you is gonna end with the Justice League dead?
This is like when Captain America said Hail Hydra in the comics and people were losing their minds, saying like this is a betrayal of this character, and it's like, do you not think that they are gonna undo this like an issue later?
It's like the game maybe could have done a better point giving you these clues, admittedly. I do think they should have made it more obvious, just because I think it would have helped them in the long run. Like I really think that was part of they made it a little too ambiguous, because people were, by the time they revealed that the Justice League was back, they A, didn't have the money to make it good, and B, nobody was playing the game anyways. So they are already, by drawing the mystery out, they kind of fucked themselves. And
they did themselves no favors.
If you and I'm speaking to you, the audience. If you thought for 1 second that the Justice League was going to remain dead, you are a fucking idiot. And I mean that in the nicest way possible. You are an idiot. Like, it may not be painfully obvious, but it is obvious. And
comic book thing. I'm sorry, that's what happens in every.
It happens in every comic book. Like it's the actual thing. But people they were just so mad about the idea that like Harley Quinn would shoot Batman in the head, but like she's a fucking criminal. Of course she's gonna shoot Batman in the head. Like it's just that's one of the reasons why I can't help but defend the game, because like it's new. I mean, it's different at the very least.
Yeah.
Like it's not gonna it might be painfully trope, because again it's something you've seen in a comic book all the time, but like I don't need to see Kevin Conroy give me the same performance he's given me for 45 years as Batman. Like I could go watch Batman the Animated Series. I could go watch one of the millions of Batman things he's in. Go let him do something different. Like, you know, again, he's monologuing, he's being a little villainous. There's a whole scene like in this Batman museum, because they have this like, oh, go experience the Batman experience, which is just like this like thing that basically rehash it. basically tells you the story from the last 3 games.
Yeah, it's like the Captain American Museum in the Winter Soldier when that
Yeah,
happens.
exactly. But it's at one point you get stalked and hunted by Batman while
Oh,
in that
weird.
museum. It's really
You
good.
get to
And like
you get
it's just
to
Batman.
experience the terror of being a criminal. The
Yeah.
Batman's.
Yeah, you get to basically experience what you were doing to people for the last 3 games. You get to experience firsthand. It's very
Now
well
you
done.
know how.
But like Batman is taunting you and being like, "Oh, I got you now. I'm gonna fucking get you. I'm gonna get you. Oh, look, I got you." And like it's him having fun. Like it's so funny that people are just like, "Oh, it's a massive betrayal to the character." Like, yeah, it's
I
I
mean, I
get
will
it to the
say, like,
people.
like this comes from a place of love because I do like Batman. He's a wonderful character, but I have noticed that especially these Arkham games tend to bring out the craziest and most
Oh
angry
yeah,
Batman fans for some reason.
they
They
do.
really
They 100% do it. It's just like,
they get riled up for extra for some reason.
and again, that's why I'm like, that's why when people are like, are talking like that, I just can't help but poke them a little bit. Just be like, yeah, I had no problem with it because, again, it's you watch that scene and you're just like, yeah, Batman's coming back. Like it's clearly it's not supposed to be the end game. Clearly that's not supposed to be the thing. And again, Kevin Conroy sounds like he's having fun. Like let the man do something different. He's been fucking heroic Batman for 20,000 years at this point. Like the most you can do. And then it came out right after his death, and I think a lot of people also were unnecessarily using that as like a jumping off point, like, oh,
Yeah,
the
yeah, yeah.
man's dead and
People
this
are a
is
little
his.
raw. People are a little raw from that, you know. A
Yeah, and
little
well,
raw.
and there was a lot of, oh, the man's dead and this is his final work as Batman, which is, spoiler alert, it wasn't even his final work as Batman. But like it's just like you said, Batman and especially Arkham fans are very insufferable about this, and that's part of the problem because there is a good game here. The combat is just guns. It's shooting, but it's not terrible. It's fun, but the real pleasure of it is the traversal mechanics because they did traversal for every single person. Like so, you know, Deathstroke uses a jetpack. Harley Quinn uses a bat drone to swing around and does like gymnast shit. Boomer has the best, as to your earlier point. He basically throws boomerangs and teleports to him. It's really fucking fun. Like the gameplay mechanics are fun. They're not.
Mhm.
You can deny it all you want. You Suicide Squad kill the Justice League haters out there, but I'm not buying it. The mechanics are fun. Like in that's another reason why I'm like I just can't get there with people who are just outright dismissive of it because there's good stuff there. No,
Yeah.
nothing. You have to remember that the people who made this game are Rocksteady. They make good games. They've always made good games. You might not like the game that they made, but they still made a fucking good game. The things where it fails are not necessarily not their fault, but I think a lot of it comes down to the fact that like this game came out and much like Captain America Brave New World, the people who were in charge of it were like, well, let's get away from this mess as soon as possible because clearly it's not going to make any money. And that was kind of I think the main reason why it rapidly what was good about it kind of rapidly goes downhill, but we'll talk about it because I'm going to get into why I also hate the game because I have a love hate relationship with it. I think the gunplay is good. I think the movement is fun. The
Hmm.
story is wonky because like at the end of the day, you are fighting not the Justice League, but a clones or robots or whatever it ended up being. You are fighting
Brainiac
them.
creations.
Yeah, your Brainiac creations, and in order to do that, they have to somehow put you on the same level field as people like Superman and stuff. So as you can imagine, with Green Lantern, guess what? You're shooting yellow at him essentially.
you're,
For
you're
Superman,
peeing on him.
yeah, you're basically peeing on him. For Superman, you are you're shooting gold kryptonite at him. That's the extent of it. They specifically make gold kryptonite to depower him, and that's how that works. Batman, you just get into a more, he does the scarecrow thing, and you get into a more like a spooky gunfight with him, but it's still a gunfight. And then Flash, you
Ooh.
have to like decouple him from the Speed Force. Like it all equates down to shoot man, or shoot Justice League member as often as you can until
Shoot
he
Man, my,
dies.
my
Yeah,
favorite villain.
yeah, shoot man. Funny enough, the only person that dies in this game is Wonder Woman. She's
Oh,
the only
R.I.P. Wonder
she's
Woman.
the only one. Yeah, R.I.P. the
One
Wonder
who's got a
Woman.
game coming up, but I guess not. They're
Yeah.
like, well,
No, she's the only
he,
one in the actual game. She's the only Justice League member that actually dies.
she stays dead. Do the Suicide Squad kill her?
No, she dies
Oh,
defending the
false
Suicide
advertising.
Squad. She dies defending the Suicide Squad from evil Superman. That's
So
what
that's
she.
kind of their fault. So, okay, I'll say it's an accurate
Yeah,
title. Like,
it's a somewhat
iteration
accurate.
should be Suicide Squad inadvertently kill a Justice League member. It
Yeah,
should be the
Suicide Squad killed the Justice Leaguer, but ha ha ha, they were all clones or something.
yeah.
Question mark? Question mark?
They
Question
all
mark?
are fake. I'm a
Uh,
clone. But anyway,
Lex Luthor dies in this game, but then gets replaced by a Lex Luthor from another universe. So that's kind of fun.
oh, so no one even notices.
Yeah. So and yeah, nobody really notices. He at one point, because there are like Lois Lane style interviews that pop up around town because she's like doing some kind of guerrilla broadcast. So you'll be running through the city. Oh, Metropolis also, and just another in the plus side, another reason why I defend it. Metropolis itself looks fucking gorgeous. It's actually a really,
Ooh.
really nice portrayal of it. It's really like colorful and it's really shiny, and there are like multiple levels to it, and there's some
Or
really
like a
cool.
Bienetto Metropolis.
Yeah, it's some really cool buildings and like iconic. Blah, blah, blah. You know what I mean? There's a lot of iconography that's really good, and that's not how you say that, but that's the way I'm going with it. But
Yeah,
anyways,
I don't know. Live your truth, man.
you'll be rolling through the city, and like Lois Lane will pop up and be like, "This is the latest reports about yada yada yada," and then she finds out about the Suicide Squad, so she'll be like, "The Suicide Squads are currently defending us from yada yada yada," and it's very weird because she just
Yeah,
starts
she's like an
casually.
announcer.
Yeah,
She
she just
becomes a Suicide Squad announcer, I guess.
yeah,
Like
just
correctly.
they're like, "Hey, remember this is what you did 3 hours ago. Here's a recap."
This is a battle between two different kinds of Pokemon.
Yeah, essentially.
Like the Pokemon Coliseum narrator who would always say goofy stuff.
Essentially that. And at one point, she interviews Lex Luthor and is like, "You seem a little different, Lex Luthor." And Lex Luthor's just like, I'm the same guy, wink, wink. She's like, "I don't know if I believe you." And that's kind of the
Yeah,
extent of that.
I think you're an alternate universe clone or whatever's going on.
So, the game's main act is okay. The main story, like
Mhm.
the beat for beat, it's a little tropey, but it's a comic book, so you kind of have to give it that. Basically, the Suicide Squad go into Metropolis, they gear up, they start doing missions, they recruit the weirdest supporting cast you're ever going to find. So it is Penguin, because for some
Okay.
reason Penguin is in
He,
Metropolis.
he's often in the Suicide Squad in the comics, so I'll buy
He is
that.
their gun
I
runner.
don't know why he's in Metropolis, but there's precedence. There's precedent for him to be in Suicide Squad stuff because he's been there before. So okay, I'll
He's
let it slide.
their gun runner, so he gets them their
Mhm.
guns. There is Toy Man,
Okay, a little weirder.
who is their
Wow,
gadget.
what kind of toy man is he? Is he
It's
the
the kid version of Toy Man, the Hiroshi one.
oh
So
weird?
Teen Toy Man is part of the squad. He's their gadget guy. He's usually their guy. And bear in mind that Toy Man is a hero for starters. And Toy Man also has usually he's portrayed as a kind of a superhero fanatic, and he is in fact a superhero fanatic in this game.
The teenager toy man,
Yes,
right? Not
teenager
the
toy man. The
not the more traditional like creepy little guy.
no, not the
toy
one who
man.
actually is supposed to be in Metropolis. Not that.
Yeah, the Superman villain, but no, we're talking the newer one where he was a nerd teen with glasses or whatever,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. He builds
Yeah.
the Superman Batman robot, and that one Superman Batman Public Enemies, and he can't stop staring at Power Girl's breast. That one. That's the one that we're talking about.
All right.
So
Meh.
he's there to be there.
Meh.
I need help
Meh, I
killing.
say. Meh.
Yeah, he's there to be there. I need help killing supervillain. How do we do this? Gadget explainy guy. Then they recruit Hack, who is a Suicide Squad member as well. She's as lesser known, but she basically just is a hack girl. She lives in the digital space, and then
They already got Toy Man for the tech guy. So
yeah,
you
but
got two
she's
tech
like
people.
there for some reason. She can hack their bombs and make them better. It's not.
No.
She like does some new. The hand wavy comic book explanation is that she can hack their bombs and like rewrite their neurals to make them shoot and bang faster. It's not
Wow.
it's not there to be to be.
She can make bombs. She can hack bombs so they explode faster. Sounds good.
It's just an excuse to give you a level up system and to give you a there's different gear in this game because it's that kind of game.
Yeah.
There are different gears in this game, and one of the gears is neck bomb, so you slot in a neck bomb that makes you shoot better. Why it makes you shoot better and how that works, don't ask me. It is, it's not there to be explained, but that's what she does.
Yeah. Don't ask me. I'm just a girl, as Malibu Stacy says.
And the final recruit is Child Poison Ivy.
Oh, a young Poison Ivy? Why is there a kid Poison Ivy?
So in Arkham Knight, she sacrificed herself because Scarecrow launched his gas across the city, and the only way to purify Gotham City was to revitalize all a bunch of ancient plants and have them purify the city. And she does it, and she does it so well that she burns up essentially.
Yeah, so it's a Groot situation. A new one grows, right?
So basically, after that, a new one grows, and Luthor has like her in a lab for a while, and then she breaks out, and then the Suicide Squad rescues her. She's there to give you elemental powers, so you can go to her and be like, "I want to be fire," and she'll give you the ability to chuck fire grenades or acid grenades, or actually, no, it's not acid. I'm sorry, it's venom grenades.
And like what makes Bane super strong.
Yes, because one of the things this game did, to its detriment, is they did gear themes. So you could get a gun that was a Bane gun, and it did things that like you would kind of associate with Bane, like it would make enemies attack each other, and it would like build stacks of rage that could give you a damage boost. They had a bunch of them, too. There was Catwoman, there was Mad Hatter, there was Killer Frost, there was Psycho Pirate. Like, there was a varied amount. Two-Face was another one, Hatter. Like, there was a bunch of them. And basically, these gear sets gave you unique powers that were kind of themed to the villain. And then if you combine multiple gear sets, you would get villain synergies, all of that, like, mechanic stuff that you would think would entice the player to continue to keep playing, so they could figure out their best gear and stuff. Long story short, it didn't, but that was the intent. The problem is that all the people that they were giving gear to were probably people that should have been in the fucking game in the first place. Because as cool as it is to get a gun that's Bane themed, it's not as cool as playing as Bane. Like there was a Catwoman theme. I know Catwoman doesn't particularly use guns, but see, part of the fucking problem is the nature of the game they made limited them in a way, and the problem is it limited them, but they still could have done something with it, but it limited them in a way that I do think hurt, because like a lot of people wanted Bizarro, so there was Bizarro themed gear, but people wanted to play as Bizarro. But how can you play as Bizarro? Bizarro doesn't shoot a fucking gun, and that's the gameplay loop. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah, yeah.
you have inherently cut off a ton of interesting villains that would have gotten people excited.
Because they gotta shoot stuff with
Because they have
guns.
to shoot. Yeah, the rule is even Killer Frog, even Great Shark, who, I don't know what you know about Great Shark, but he doesn't typically use a gun.
Yeah, yeah. I don't picture that character shooting a gun overall, really.
Yeah, but because of the game's requirements, he shoots a gun. He has to shoot a gun. He does a little bit of melee. They all do a little bit, but even Boomerang. Boomerang doesn't really shoot a gun. Boomerang throws boomerangs. That's his thing.
Yeah.
He does.
Kind of in the name.
Yeah, it's kind of in the name. He's Captain Boomerang.
He's not Captain Gun.
Yeah. Yeah. So he can do it as a melee attack. So as a melee attack, he will throw a boomerang. It gives him a little range with his melee, but it's not something you can do over and over again and really use in place of shooting a gun. The mechanics of the game are designed around shooting a gun. That is what you have to do. So, as fun as that gunplay is, it doesn't feel evocative of the characters that you're playing sometimes. Harley Quinn, sure, she uses a gun. Deadshot, yeah, he uses a gun. That's his whole thing. As you'll come to find out, some of the other characters that are introduced are they're a little bit more nebulous on the whole gun thing. But anyways, that's the main game involves you running around Metropolis trying to figure out how to defeat the Justice League, getting the tech you need to defeat the Justice League, battling the Justice League, quote unquote killing them, and then you kind of rinse and repeat. And that's the gameplay loop, and that takes you through. They eventually kill all the Justice League members, but not really. Wonder Woman dies heroically. They manage to kill Brainiac. They come back, and then Amanda Waller reveals, but there are actually 13 Brainiacs across multiple universes. And these Elseworlds, they do use the term Elseworlds. I will give them props for staying comic book accurate. These Elseworlds.
10 out of 10 stars, they said Elseworlds.
Yep, 10 out of 10 stars, they said Elseworlds. These other Brainiacs were working with this Brainiac, and we need to kill all 13, which is a Doctor Who reference.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I got you. Not all 12, all 13.
All 13. That's where
you know the rest.
Yeah, you know the rest. And that kicks off the end game, which is you going to the other universes, you killing the other Brainiacs, and each season introduces a new Brainiac, but also introduces a new hero, a new Suicide Squad member to play. The main game is not bad. It's probably worth a playthrough if you are a comic book nerd. Be aware that, again, some stuff might anger you. There's a scene where they imply they killed one of the Robins, or at least Batman killed one of the Robins. If you have half a brain,
well, this new jerk Batman killed the Robin.
Evil Batman killed a Robin, potentially, maybe, but you and I both know not really.
Seems unlikely.
You do kill people who look like members of the Justice League, but again, spoilers are alert, but not really. They are clearly not the Justice League, and that is revealed over the course of the game. It's not a bad game. It's not amazing, but it's not a bad game. But then you get to the end game content, and the end game content is where the rant comes out, because
now bring out angry Tanner. This has been peaceful Tanner.
Because as much as I can defend the game at its base, it is insufferable in its fucking end game. It is It is terrible. And I don't really think it's their fault because, again, what I imagine happened is it came out, it got blasted in reviews, people hated it.
Mm-hmm.
Zavlav being Zavlav, or whoever was in fucking charge at that point, was like, "Oh shit, this is clearly not very well received. What are we gonna do?" And then
Mm-hmm.
they compared it to a game that had already made $1,000,000,001 and was like, "Okay, maybe this game will make $1,000,000,001." It did not, and then they were like, "Okay, well, it's not gonna make $1,000,000,001. Everybody pack up. You go back to making Batman games. Go back to what we know sells. What we sell is Batman games. Everybody go back to making Batman games." And everybody, because video game development is not just one guy in a basement tapping away at a computer. I think people forget about that. It is as big a production as making a movie.
Oh yeah.
Even a little bit more so, probably because it involves a
Because of
lot of
18-hour days and stuff, they really they really torment those FX people, both in games and in
yeah, and
in movies.
you hit the nail on the head. There's a lot of crunch. There's a lot of
Yes.
working long hours with not getting paid for it. Like these
Hmm.
games don't. There's a reason why games nowadays take like 4 or 5 years of development. It's crazy. Back when we were kids, that wasn't the case. There was 1,000,001 games because they were easier and cheaper to make. Nowadays, they are not either of those. So, games take time and energy to develop. That being said, if you are going to do a live service game, you really need to come out the gate swinging because there are 1,000,000 of them nowadays. And you really have to put kind of your best foot forward. I'm going to tell you who the people in the first season of the Suicide Squad were. I want you to tell me what you think of these choices. So, the first person that they released for the first season was the Joker. It
No.
was not Mark Hamill Joker. It was a young Joker. He got called Jonkler, just to kind of put it into
The
into
Jonkler?
Jonkler was what he was called. He was called
Jockler.
Jonkler was
He's the
what people.
Jonkler. Okay.
That was what people called him. Like it
Oh,
wasn't what they
that's not
called
his
him.
official name.
Yeah, it wasn't
That's
his
not his
official
official
name.
name.
That was
I
his.
thought that was his official name.
No, that was his infamous name. The one that they gave. The
Okay.
one that the fans gave him.
Yeah,
He was.
that makes more sense. I thought he was called the Jonkler in the
No.
in the
They
game.
really should have just leaned into it though, because it was the minute they released what he looked like, everybody's like, "Yep, that's the Jonkler," and that it was just so funny. But anyways, person one was the Joker. He was a young Joker who had kind of just been starting off in his career, but Brainiac invaded his universe before, right as he was getting started, and he got pushed into his Suicide Squad, and he watched them die. The story that I just gave you is not portrayed in the game at all.
They don't show this. This doesn't happen on screen.
So here's where it starts to get bad real fast. There are no cutscenes for any of the rest of these seasons. What
I've heard of this. It's all in camera, like in game talking, right?
it's somewhat in game talking, but not a lot, or a motion comment. So what they started doing was at the beginning of the season, they would display a motion comic with a voiceover
Yeah.
from the person who they were introducing. So Jonkler would say a little bit, and then he's the only one who got a cutscene was Joker. So there's a cutscene when you finish recruiting him of them like doing the intro of bringing him back to the base and seeing how he's doing. I think maybe all of them but one. I might be somewhat wrong in that. There might have been a cutscene for two of the others as well, but they gave up on that quickly. Is the
Yeah.
point. But like,
Motion comics, by the way, I'm very sad that they're back because they were
I
never
know.
very
Yeah, it's
bringing
crazy. Um,
bringing one of the least successful attempts at making comics into a
Well, they're like
a
shitty.
medium.
They're like the shittiest version of comics you can get. Like if
Yeah, yeah.
you're like it's a bad. It's basically just a bad comic. Um, oh, they took down breaking news
Ooh.
for those who want to carbon date this
Yeah, Lois Lane has
video.
some
Breaking
breaking
news,
news.
yeah. Hulk is down again for violating Twitch community guidelines in terms of service. I don't know if that Laura Dern Nick Cage Lynch movie is that sexy or if they just got mad at him because he was playing a movie
There's a
on
lot
the
of nudity
internet.
in that movie. So I guess you had that on in the other tab while
Well,
you ranted.
I had it on in the other tab, but I wasn't watching it. I promise. I was fully
Well,
committed to this, but
yeah,
I
sure.
did
I
click
had it up,
over.
but I wasn't. But I swear I wasn't looking at
No,
it.
because I want to watch it with you and do a commentary on it. I just had it up because I was because I was gonna tune in for the next one. But anyways,
Right.
breaking news is over. So they they quickly gave up on like in the Joker DLC, he doesn't even fucking talk to Harley Quinn. They have no fucking interactions. They perform on a squad together. I mean, you can load up
Oh, that's nice.
AI.
So despite their breakup, they've been able to
Well,
keep
it's not here.
a
It's
professional working relationship.
it's
I'm
not
glad.
her Joker.
Oh, right. He's the Jonkler from the
Yeah,
other
he's the
universe.
Jongleur from
Whatever.
another
Right.
universe.
Because our buddy our Arkham Joker died horribly and
Yeah,
from the disease or whatever. Yeah.
yeah. But then they brought him back. They couldn't do him. Because they were so scared of doing a Batman game without Joker. Spoiler alerts for Arkham Knight. You find out that some of the people who were infected with the Joker irradiated blood, are slowly becoming Joker. And since Batman was one of the ones infected by the blood, he's slowly becoming Joker. So for that game, Mark Hamill is in your head talking and like trying to convince you to kill everybody, which is kind of
Okay.
fun, but also like we can't
Yeah.
do one game without the Joker being in it.
Yeah, can't leave him out even that little. But that's still to me means right. He's still dead officially in this universe, right?
Yes,
They
he is
didn't
still
like
dead
they.
officially in this universe. The Joker in Arkham Knight is just Batman's psyche / his irradiated blood trying to convince him to become the new Joker is essentially what
Yeah,
that boils down to.
they were gonna do that in the fifth of the George in the they were gonna make a sequel to Batman and Robin with George Clooney called Batman Triumphant, where Madonna was gonna be Harley Quinn, who in this version would have been the Joker's illegitimate daughter, and Jeff Goldblum or Nicolas Cage was gonna be Scarecrow, and he was gonna spray George Clooney Batman, and he was gonna hallucinate Jack Nicholson Joker was the plan.
Man, they're Batman. Batman movies are fucking wild, man. What they think of, what they think is gonna work for those, especially those older movies. Because isn't that
Yeah,
also?
the 90s ones had some weird reinterpretations of
Yeah,
characters.
hell yeah, they did. But
Mm-hmm.
so to get back to the rant again, Harley and Joker. Yeah, you could put them on a squad together. They'll shoot. They'll occasionally like Harley might be, oh, I got your guy, Joker, or oh, thank you for helping me shoot that guy, Joker. But there is no meaningful interaction. There is no story there. The
Mm-hmm.
epitome of it is that you go and grind for 3 or 4 hours doing missions that you've done 1,000 times in a slightly different colored map, slightly different themed, until you get high enough rank to go and rescue the character that you are here to rescue, the character of the season. You can do it that way, or you can pay $10 and unlock them instantly. That's the two choices there. So each season that they introduce a new character doesn't really come with anything to push the needle up. There are some new missions. You get to fight
Mm-hmm.
in a new area. Like Joker's is Funland themed, but like it's a Metropolis, but it's got Funland type elements. But that's the extent of it. Then you unlock him, you unlock them. You might or might not get a cutscene of them getting the bomb put inside of them. And then after that, that's it. That's the extent of it. That is the loop that you go through for four seasons. We'll call it four
Jeez,
episodes. 4 episodes. Now, as a
that
video game
sounds
person, that probably doesn't sound very fun to you, right?
well, that sounds a little interminable just from the way you're describing it. But I don't know.
And then you have to deal with the fact that like the game didn't really work, but we're not going to get into technical sides of stuff. The game had a lot of problems. That also makes it really hard to play. But like, if you are looking for a story, you are not going to find one. Because what ends up happening is, again, the game gets cut. Like you after season 1, you know that there are not going to be any more seasons. But here's the problem. They said that there were 13 fucking Brainiacs. So, how are they going to solve that? How are they going to bring the Justice League back, have the triumphant return of the Justice League, have the killing or the taking out of 13 Brainiacs, and wrap that all up in 4 seasons when clearly the plan was to have it go longer? Well,
Yeah.
the answer to that is no. The answer to that is just no. So, Joker is the first character. The next character is Victoria Freeze. Freeze,
Ooh,
actually. It's called...
Lady Freeze there.
Yeah, it's Lady Freeze, essentially. Victoria Freeze, who comes from a universe where she was also on the Suicide Squad. She had Nora, so it is a lovely girl-on-girl relationship, even though we never meet Nora.
Yeah.
And she comes from a universe where, like, it's like an ice age, kind of. And so everything's frosted over and stuff. She's character number 2. Again, you don't get really any interaction. There isn't really anybody for her to interact with, per se. But, like, she occasionally will be like, oh, I remember the first crime spree I went on with Nora. Or, oh, I remember taking Nora here or there or yada yada. There's that kind of stuff. You know, it's all very blasé and all very normal. So, at some point during all this, you find out that the Justice League is still alive. It's very hard to pinpoint where that is because it's not in a cutscene. Like we've established, all cutscenes are out the window at this point. Everything you are going to get told about the game is going to either be an emotion comic or very brief dialogue between two people. So at one point, they find out that the Justice League is still alive, and they go on the offensive trying to rescue them while they're also defeating Brainiacs. And that's kind of... Occasionally, you'll get, like, I think they free Green Lantern first, and then maybe they free Flash. It doesn't matter, but going into the end game, there are two versions of... There are two Justice League members back. So, Victoria Freeze is the next person. The next person after that is Lawless. So, Lawless is...
Timothy Oliphant plays him.
Yeah, Timothy Oliphant plays him. Lawless is Deadshot's daughter, who is from the same universe, but, like, got trapped in a universe that was strangely Batman-themed. I don't quite remember how that works, but she needs her dad to come save her. And she is a Twitch streamer and vlogger who...
like us.
Yeah, just like us. Just like us. I felt really like I had a fellow person in all of this.
Good representation. It's very important.
It was great representation. And she uses, like, gravity tech. All these people, again, have fun. I'll briefly touch on it. Joker has a rocket-propelled umbrella that he can surf on, so that's pretty fun. Victoria, as you could probably imagine, does Frozone stuff. That's her thing. She does.
Yeah, she lets it go, as you could say.
She lets it go, lets it goes. Bear in mind again, like, they don't have ice. Like, Victoria just shoots as well. Like, she doesn't have... Like, she has a thing where
she also just has a gun with, like, just regular bullets.
Yeah. Like, they all have, like, traversal moves that are kind of themed. Like, Joker will like launch himself up into the air and start raining down presents that are bombs. Victoria will do
Mhm.
like this ice cyclone thing, but like they still just shoot guns at the end. Like
Yeah, so like everything you're saying, like when you're listing off their powers, there's also like an asterisk, which is, and also they just have a Glock and
yeah,
they just shoot you.
they just
Like
have a gun. They just have
in
a
addition
Glock.
to whatever powers you described, they also just have guns.
Now, bear in mind, Victoria is the only one who I guess would technically have powers. The rest of them just shoot guns. But
Hmm.
like at the same time, like she just shoots a fucking gun. Like you literally will surf into a above a group of enemies, raining fire on them. At no point, like you could throw a grenade that will do ice
Hmm.
damage, but it's not her doing it. You gotta go to fucking Poison Ivy Child to get the ice grenade going, so that way you could do the ice grenade thing. And it might not even be good because they kept buffing and weirdly trying to balance the game. So like one season your ice grenade might do great, another season your ice grenade might do horrible. So you got to
Hmm.
make Victoria do fire damage instead. Like it was that level of like the intention was, oh, you could build your kits, but the long and short of it was is that every season there was a good build and a bad build, and there was no point in trying to experiment otherwise because you needed to play the good build because you had to go grind for 10 fucking hours to go get the other character who just shoots a gun as well. That again was the loop. Um, the so the third character is Lawless, who is kind of another like I'm gonna ask you something at the end of this. We have one more character. So the final character was Deathstroke.
Whoa!
The final
Slade
character,
Wilson himself.
Slade Wilson himself, and he also just shot a gun, but he also had a sword that he used for melee. But
All right, well, to be fair, that's at least Deathstroke appropriate in that
yes,
the one exception where it's like, okay, he can have a gun, I think. But
and he was deeply embedded in. So they kind of gave up on the whole, as you can probably tell. But after Victoria, they gave up on the idea that all these people were from different universes, and so they just
yeah.
made it from the same universe. But they were just like stuck or undercover in whatever universe you found them in. Deathstroke
Hmm.
was in a universe of medieval themes, so it was a medieval
Ooh,
Smallville. It was actually the best of the bunch. It
that's kind
was
of cool.
yeah,
He's in Michael Crichton's timeline.
yeah, it was kind of like Dark Knights of Steel, and they when they did the motion comic for it, it had like that ye olde look to it, which was really
Hmm.
nice. So to round it off, it was Joker, it was Victoria Frias, it
Yeah.
was Lawless, and it was Deathstroke. Let me ask you this:
Okay.
how uh, how excited does that lineup make you as a comic book fan? Let's even just not say as a
Let me
video
think.
game.
So a lady, Mr. Freeze,
Yep.
Deadshot's daughter, Deathstroke, and the Jonkler.
Yeah, a
Those are
not
my
Mark
guys.
Hamill Joker, like a kind of more. In all honesty,
Mm.
he's not as bad as like Jared Leto Joker, but he does like have that kind of like, oh, this is a different take on the Joker feel to
Yeah.
him.
So I will say that lineup does not super excite me.
No, it wouldn't fucking
No.
excite anybody. Here's the thing: this universe has fucking Red Hood in it. This universe has Two Face in it, and you hear about these characters all the fucking time because they're
And it's
all
Suicide Squad, where the premise is the villains get to have some fun. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Like,
like imagine like it's and this is where I think because I think these were people that they decided. Obviously, they would have had to have decided it long before the game came out because they would have had to get the artwork and assets for it. If you
mhm.
are starting a game and your lineup is two guys that are kind of known, a gender bent version of a popular character that probably people aren't gonna want to see gender bent. I'm not gonna say I'm not gonna call woke or whatever, but probably not the best move either. On the same token, and then just one character that people actually wanted. you are probably setting yourself up for failure. I'm just gonna say that, especially in
Yeah.
a universe where the premise is everybody has to shoot a gun. You know who shoots a gun?
Mhm.
Red Hood shoots a gun. You know who people love? Fucking Red Hood. You know who people also love? I don't know, like Captain Cold. He could
Yeah.
feasibly shoot a gun.
And he makes sense on a Suicide Squad team. You know,
Yeah.
that fits more than a Mr. or a Mrs. Freeze for that matter.
Two-Face, he shoots a gun. Like
Yeah.
I know I'm not selling this enough, but like you can think of better people who could fit, who were more popular and also shot a gun. Peacemaker. Peacemaker.
Get me a Peacemaker.
Yeah.
Get me a Jonah Hex since we're pulling out of alternate universes
Yeah,
anyway. Just
exactly.
bring him back from the old west, and
Fucking
he's
a
shooting a
Western
gun.
universe where you have to get Jonah Hex. Yeah, again, all of that like you have we in the short moment that we have talked about this, we have already at least spat out 5 characters who make more sense and get more people in. And you can say, well, that's not the characters they want to make. Understand, totally right. That's not the characters they want to make. But you have to sell a live service game because there are a million of them. And the
Yeah.
idea is that you want to come back every week and do the missions and unlock the stuff and see and spend money on costumes, which we'll get to
Right.
next. Don't you worry about it. We fucking
Oh
will.
God.
You need to sell the idea. And like that is not selling it. That is I hate to say it, that is it's just a weak lineup is just what it is at the end. Like it's a
Yeah.
weak lineup and it doesn't get people excited. The other thing you need to do in a live service game is you need to give something people something to spend money on. So we talked about it. You could unlock the characters earlier by spending $10, but you could also get them for free.
Mhm.
It just took about 3 to 4 hours of grinding if you knew how to do it. If you knew how to do it, there were all sorts of tricks and tips to do it at the end. But the other the other thing was battle passes. Battle passes is when you spend money, you unlock stuff in the battle pass. You spend $10, you get like 50 levels of a battle pass. Every level
Yeah.
you unlock, it includes a goodie. Could be a name plate, could be a spray paint, could be a fucking more coins to spend in the online store.
Mhm.
It's
Which
the
I will
world.
say is a new video game trend that look, I'm not a gamer, so maybe I'm, talking stuff I don't know, but I'm not too crazy about that as a concept.
No,
Like
it's
even if it was done well, or even if like it was stuff you'd want to pay for, I don't know.
no, but it's the video game world we live in now. It's
Mhm.
fucking everywhere. Like you
Yeah,
cannot.
every video game's got to have a toll booth like built into it, where you got to
Yeah.
pay for more fun every 5 feet or
Now,
whatever.
thankfully, games have very quickly realized that pay to win is not the way to go. People will go out their mind, spitting about it if you introduce something that if I pay $10, I'm better at the video game. So all of this stuff is is cosmetic nowadays, which if you're gonna do it, that's how it should be. That being said, you have to have stuff that people want to fucking buy. The cosmetics in this game were absolutely horrible. Like it was fucking crazy, man. Like especially because you are like if you put Joker in the game, what is the even you as a person who and admittedly you don't read a lot of new comics, but you just because I yell at you about them, you are knowledgeable on new comics for the most part. If I tell you
Yeah, I got
Joker's in
some.
the game, what comic book costume do you think and I'll give you a little hint. It's going to be a modern one. What modern day Joker costume do you think absolutely has to be in the game? Like
Are we going to include, I don't know, Batman Who Laughs? Is he going to be
there
there?
you go. So
Ding, ding, ding.
that's the exact one. So you would think if you're putting Joker in a video game that you would absolutely have the Batman Who Laughs costume in it, right? It's a fucking no-brainer. It's the most popular like Joker that's
Yeah,
come out in
people
years.
love that Hellraiser Joker with his little like Robin Gimps.
Yeah,
Everyone's crazy about him.
they never. It was never. It's not in the game. Not even remotely in the game. There is a game that came out called Multiverses. We've talked about it. It's basically Space Jam 2, but you actually get to punch people. It's the same concept. It's LeBron James and Arya Stark versus Bugs Bunny and Batman. That's the
That's
kind
right,
of
and Gus Fring. Gus Fring is
yeah.
playable.
Well, fortunately they canceled that too, so we'll never get
Yeah, that was not the case, unfortunately. But
we'll never get that Gus Fring concept. But even that game, when it did the Joker, because of course it did the Joker, had fucking the Batman Who Laughs costume. It's insane. So the costumes that they did do were like, what if Joker had Wayne tech and like had shiny armor? What if they all looked like they were wearing cardboard boxes? Like there was a Toy Man type like costume line where they would all have like Toy Man inspired outfits. So like, what if Boomerang also looked like a shiny robot? Like that was the level of costuming you were getting. Just like the most bare of fucking effort put in. There were hardly any comic book costumes. They eventually did like comic costumes that were like they did costumes that were of the Arkham series, so like previous game
yeah,
costumes. They basically just reused the assets, and the only
yeah, because
reason why
that first game's like 15 years old at this point, so there's nostalgia for
yeah,
it. Like,
and the
oh,
main
cool.
reason they did it was because in the first Arkham game, Harley wore an extremely short skirt, and was very I'm a sexy nurse for most of that game. So
Yes, I
of
remember that.
course,
It was very weird because as people point out, the animation on her face was very stiff and like a Barbie doll, but her boobies, like the light perfectly captured
oh
on
yeah,
those things.
oh yeah, yeah,
That's where all the money went.
oh yeah. No, I'm going to. As a matter of fact, I'm going to give you a visual aid. Um,
Oh, thank you. Visual aids are so
Kill
helpful.
the Justice League costumes because,
Yes.
like,
Send me the roster or
I
whatever.
can't sell like how bad some of these got. Like here, I'll give you this one. This one's not so bad. These are kind of the only good ones. But even then, like you'll look at that Mrs. Freeze costume and be like, okay, that's
Alright.
that's a choice.
So Mrs. Freeze kind of looks like that suit that John Boyega's in The Last Jedi when he wakes up,
Yep, that's
and
those are the Super Zeros, so they're made to look shitty. But like, think about it this way: why would you spend money to look shitty, even if the point of the costume is to look shitty? Like, look at
yeah,
that. Look at the
I
ones
would
I
not
just
pay
sent
extra
you.
for the privilege of looking like these characters. I will say.
And they were $12 a pop, or something to that
You got
effect.
your peg leg Joker with an evil umbrella.
Yep, Joker with
Uh,
an evil umbrella.
Deadshot kind of looks like
He's
Vin
going
Diesel,
skiing in Aspen.
yeah, like Torque.
Yep.
And the Harley Quinns look fairly normal, I guess. I mean, they're silly, but I wouldn't spend extra money on either of any of these. I would be reluctant to.
Yep. And that was the kind of costumes you were getting versus like just to put it into just to kind of, and again this is unfair to Justice Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League, but like Marvel Avengers, which was also a live service superhero game that also failed miserably for other reasons, and like even Marvel Rivals, which is is taking the world by storm, they came
Mm-hmm.
out with comic book accurate and movie accurate costumes because that is what people want. They want their Spider-Man to look like Spider-Man No Way Home. They want their Captain America to be bearded sexy Cap from Avengers Infinity War. Like
Mm-hmm.
that is what people that is the things that people are going to spend money on. They are not going to
Yeah.
spend money on fucking King Shark wearing red Superman boxers, a spray painted S metal shield, and a Superman costume or Superman mask that isn't even on his face properly. It just isn't gonna
No.
happen. But that was what they got. That was what was in the shop. That was the fare that you had the choice to buy on. So
Jeez, yeah, that's a
it's
sad lineup,
it's
man.
fucking crazy, man. Like, and again,
And they had 8 zillion years to come up with cooler costume,
and they didn't even
costume.
have to come up with them. Like, again, if to the idea
Yeah,
that
pick cooler costumes from already existing things.
the
Yeah,
idea that you wouldn't do fucking Batman Who Laughs is so popular. And it can't be that hard to animate. It's fucking Joker in a gimp suit. Like,
yeah.
it really
It's a
can't be that hard.
it's Pinhead Joker. He's in a
Yeah.
black like leather robe or whatever.
Like, I'm no VX artist nor animation artist. Like, I guess I'm the wrong person to talk about at this, but at the same time, like, I don't know if
I feel like the robe makes it easier because you don't
yeah.
have to animate his legs moving. He can just like float across the floor or whatever.
Yeah, no, it's not that hard. I mean, they did have the comic book accurate ones, like you can make Captain Boomerang look like classic Captain Boomerang and give Deadshot his shiny mustard outfit, but you know, that was the extent of like the good stuff. So we've talked about the gameplay is fun, the mechanics are fun, the the traversal is fun. Let's talk about the missions. The missions are not fun, but I'm not going to subject you to a whole like explanation on them. They're standard for those in the know. They are standard live service missions. Go to point A, defend point A and B from enemies, destroy VIP targets. Like it's all that stuff. It's the normal like, oh, go here, shoot this, win this kind of thing. And they never really invented the wheel on that. So that was the other problem with the game. Like, it's fun to play, but if you're doing the same thing over and over again, it rapidly becomes boring as fuck to play. And that was a problem, and that continued to be a problem, especially because we haven't talked about any of the Brainiac fights. So
Yeah, I
Brainiac,
forgot he was the villain.
yeah, I was about to say, did you even
Oh,
remember
I
he was the
forgot
villain?
13 of him are the villain.
Yes, 13 of him are the villain. So instead of doing anything with Brainiac, anything that was like different, what the Brainiac fights are is you go into his universe, you go to his big house, his big Brainiac skull house, because he has a skull ship. At the very least, they did that, and then he becomes one of the corrupted Justice League members. So the final battle of every season is the same battle you did in the base game. The exact same battle that you did in the base game. So you'll roll up to him and he'll be like, okay, I'm going to defeat you. And then he'll become evil Superman. And then he'll fight you a little bit as evil Superman. Or he'll become evil Green Lantern and fight you a little bit as evil Green Lantern. That's the loop. And then you defeat him and you shove something into his forehead that kills him. And that's
All right.
that's all you do. It's the same exact fight. It's the same exact fucking process too. Like the mechanics are exactly the same. The only difference is he's a little bit stronger, a little bit faster, and there are more like ads, which are just additional enemies. That's what they call them to fight. Does that sound particularly fun to you?
No, no. It sounds like just again the creativity is really blowing my mind. You
Yeah.
just stab him in the head.
Brainiac is a cool fucking character. Yeah, we've seen him a time or two. He's not exactly he's not exactly a rare
We
character.
haven't seen him in a movie, though.
No, we
To be
haven't.
fair,
To be fair, we have not seen him in a movie. You are right about that.
now we're at the 18th Superman movie, and still they're like, maybe Brainiac will be in the next one.
You think he's gonna show up in this one, in the James
I
Gunn one?
hope so. I don't think I doubt he's going to be the villain, but at least give me a
Give me
post credits
A
teaser.
Thanos sitting in the chair talking
Yeah.
about how, yeah, They can't be willing to do Darkseid again after how bad that happened.
No, which is a bummer because like man, Zack Snyder. Again, unrelated. This is gonna start my own. I'm gonna take over with just a Zack Snyder rant, but making Darkseid just like a shirtless guy with a big hammer, very lame.
Yeah, doing Steppenwolf and not Darkseid is a. I
Mhm.
think they try. I think what I feel like that was their version of trying to do Ultron bait and switch because they're like, oh, before they
Yeah,
fight Darkseid, they've got to fight Steppenwolf, but like that did not conceptually roll out the same way that like Ultron
no, no.
versus.
No matter what the Snyder Cut people tell you, they're liars because this is a total tangent, and we're just talking about Zack Snyder for the 8 millionth time. But the pitch was Justice League was going to be Justice League Part 1, Justice League Part 2. So Part 1 was going to be Steppenwolf, and Part 2 was going to be that Injustice world with Darkseid as the bad guy,
Yeah.
essentially. But people got so pissed about evil Superman, rightfully so, that Zack Snyder, by the time he made his cut, got kind of gun shy and was like, you know what? Why don't we end it with Superman saving the day instead of he comes back and is immediately evil? Was the plan?
Uh, which one is it? It's in the Snyder Justice League cut that they do the future world, right? Where Jared Leto Joker comes back and monologues for a
Yes.
bit.
Yeah, that is in Zack Snyder's Justice League. That is like the very end of the movie, and then Batman wakes up again, and Martian Manhunter says like, "Watch out, man, because that might happen someday." And that's the end of the movie.
Yeah, I hope you know that's our fifth. That's gonna have to be our like 50th or 100th episode. Is gonna be.
We're gonna have to
It's gonna
do a Zack
be.
Snyder Zack Snyder Justice League episode. Which, oh boy,
We're gonna have to figure out some way to do it because we gotta because Batman v Superman and Justice League Snyder cut yada yada. It's in black and white now, and also in a normal version. Like that's a whole thing to unpack. But anyways, back to the other thing that we're talking
yeah,
about.
yeah, yeah.
Um, but yeah, so you fight Brainiac, but you don't fight Brainiac. Instead, you fight the same people that you fought in the first part of the game, except they're just a little bit differently colored and they're a little bit stronger. And that's the loop for the next 4 games, but not really because by the time they get to Deathstroke, there is no money. There is absolutely no money at all. And at this point, bear in mind, there were supposed to be 13 Brainiacs. Clearly, this was supposed to be going on for a while. There's probably supposed to be a lot of like scenes of them trying to figure out where the Justice League are, them slowly recruiting the Justice League, maybe even them fighting alongside the Justice League. All that fun stuff that you would want in your, I guess, Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League game. None of that got to happen because by the time it was all said and done, everybody had been moved to go work on more Batman games, and there was no money left. So, in going into the final season, because the Lawless season, I believe you rescued Green Lantern during that season, but again, it's just I even think he like is about to fall off a cliff and you just pull him off the cliff. I'm pretty sure that's the extent of that whole ending. So you've
Very
rescued
exciting.
you've rescued the Flash. You've rescued Green Lantern. They're recovering though. So they can't help you in your time of need because they're
And they
too
got a
busy.
tummy ache from their ordeal.
Yeah, they're too busy nursing their tummy aches and stuff. So you have to finish the fight. Well, but guess what? You don't have to finish the fight because surprise, surprise, while you've been doing all this, not Deadshot, Deathstroke has been in the background killing all 13 of the Brainiacs.
Oh, he's doing your job for you. We had to wrap this up fast, so we just had to
But now,
just bring all them Brainiacs.
but now he needs your help to defeat the last Brainiac. He can't
So
do
he's like,
it.
holding the last Brainiac, and it's like when they make the Kingsman kill the dog. Like, all right, as a loyalty test, kill this Brainiac for me.
he he needs your help. He just can't do it. He can't. He's like he's driven the car to the finish line, but he needs you to push it over the edge. Now,
Yeah,
why he's been able to kill 13 Brainiacs on his own, but can't kill this last Brainiac?
last one's giving him a lot of trouble.
Yeah, this last one's just so powerful. Except, not really, because you go through the same loop that you've gone through for 3 other seasons. You do the missions, you do the grind, you finally determine where Brainiac is holding the the Deathstroke hostage. You go to get him. Brainiac comes out. He throws his arms up and is like, "I've got you," and then he
Oh
gets
no!
stabbed through the chest by Deathstroke, who slices him in half and says, "Are we ready to go now?"
Wait, so Deathstroke was it Deathstroke or Deadshot who needed your help to kill the last one?
Deathstroke, because you always go to recruit it. You always go to quote
Then he
unquote.
kills him anyway. He's like, "Oh, never mind. I actually got it."
Yeah,
All right. Wow, that's pretty exciting stuff.
and that's how you unlock Deathstroke, the final character in this gripping saga. But then there is one more Brainiac you have to fight. The last Brainiac.
Last brain.
The last Brainiac. So you go to fight him, and like I'm gonna be honest, I was so checked out at this point that I don't know if I could properly convey what actually happened, but I will do my best to at least give you the parts that make me the angriest. I do believe you fight the last Brainiac. I do believe Deathstroke doesn't just
You
like
do get to fight a
you
Brainiac.
do get
That's
to
good.
fight a Brainiac. Let me be clear.
At least one Brainiac.
This
Okay.
Brainiac does the exact same stuff every other fucking Brainiac you have fought before does. There is no there is no I am the final Brainiac, watch me roar situation. He either turns into one of the villains that you have faced. He turns into one of the villains you have one of the evil Justice League members you have faced before, and then after you defeat him, everybody I can't remember if you get to land the killing blow or if Superman does. Something happens, but essentially you defeat him and then Batman pops out. Actual Batman. And he goes,
Whoa. The
"This
real
was
Batman.
all part of my plan all along." To which I say, "Fuck you, Batman. You if anything, that makes me more mad than Batman getting shot in the head by Harley Quinn.
Yeah,
Because
that's a bigger betrayal, I would say.
because he and the motion comic, because this game did not end with a cutscene. The motion comic Batman says, "Oh yeah, this was all part of my plan, and I was relying on you, Suicide Squad members, to come in and like do this, so that way I could, that way we could save the day." Or something to that effect. Like, he takes credit basically for everything that the Suicide Squad did, and basically goes, "This was all part of my plan."
Wow.
Oh, okay. So Batman, I did pull up the wiki just to make sure I was accurately.
Just to make sure you
presenting
weren't
this.
telling tales out of school. All right.
Yeah. The Squad, with support from the Flash and Green Lantern, I don't remember them being supported in any way, but sure, I'll believe it, battles the final 3 Brainiac iterations and defeats them. They are then joined by Superman and Batman, who manage to escape from their containment pods, with Batman landing the final blow on Brainiac. I guarantee you it was fucking Superman originally, but they were trying to save face from people really being mad about that Batman being shot by Harley Quinn. I guarantee you it was originally going to be Superman. But anyways, Superman reveals to the Squad that the League members they killed were merely clones created by Brainiac. I remember them being shocked by this, and that really bugged me because, like, of course they were fucking clones. Like, the Suicide Squad acts like this is the biggest revelation ever, but of fucking course they were clones. Like, what did you think they were? Like, at this point you've rescued 2 of them, so you know it wasn't actually them. Did you think they were robots? Did you think they were holograms? Do you think they were pickled Snokes that they fucking grew in a lab?
Yeah.
Like, what were you? What was your bingo card for that? But anyways, he then enlists the help. This is Superman. Superman enlists the Squad to help the League clear
The
out
ugly looking
remnants.
Superman that everyone hates.
Superman just, could you imagine Superman going to the Suicide Squad and being like, "Hey, we need your help. Like, we want you to ride with us on this multiversal adventure. Strap up. Oh, can I have a gun too? Maybe I would use a gun. Imagine Superman with a gun. That would be amazing, wouldn't it?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Then
You gotta just have Superman just.
Superman and Batman just pull out a Glock and just go bang, 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 bang. So Superman enlists the Squad's help to clear the League, to help the League clear out remnants of Brainiac's forces across the multiverse. The support squad members also help disable all of the Squad's neck bombs, rendering Waller unable to harm them. As the Squad joins the League on their new mission, they deliver Brainiac to Waller as a parting gift and pass classified Argus documents to Daily Planet reporter Lois Lane.
Wow.
I know, right? And this is all presented to you in a motion comic, by the way. Just remember that. There's no fucking cutscene. There's no fucking, anything of that nature. It is all a fucking motion comic.
So essentially, it ends with like we get to look at the storyboards.
Yeah, it ends with we got to look at the storyboards and also like, oh, we're gonna go on a road trip with the Justice League.
Nice.
That's the other extent of it. That now, I get it. Obviously, they didn't have the money to do something else. Obviously, obviously there was no way they were gonna get whatever the original plan was because they had to figure out a way to just wrap up 13 fucking Brainiacs just wandering around. So I guess saying Deathstroke killed them was the cheapest way to do it. I'd argue not the best way because maybe you just boss rush that shit.
No, I would also argue not an amazing way to do that.
Like I guess my pitch would have been you Mega Man that shit, where like at the end you just have to face 13 Brainiacs in a gauntlet. You know what I mean? Like you just
cool. Like like Neo with all the Agent Smiths. Like
yeah. It's just a bunch of fucking
knocking Brainiacs left and right. That would be cool.
Yeah, I mean that'd be better than what was gotten. But like how the League got out. How the League. I mean, I guess it was just Superman and Batman just finally mustered the strength to pull themselves out of whatever pod they were in. Like none of that is anything in this game. And that's just where the game ends. Like that's just the extent of it.
Wow. Not the most exciting finale, I would say.
No, not the most exciting finale. What do you think of Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League based on what I've described to you?
I'm gonna give it 4 out of 5 stars. I gotta say, like you, I don't particularly care about the betrayal of Batman or whatever. That seems fine and normal. Everything else sounds like everything that annoys me about has kept me at arm's length from modern video games, like the
100%.
The premium content, the like, oh crap, we didn't actually finish this game and we weren't allowed to because it bombed, so we're just gonna rush some kind of resolution that nobody would be happy with.
It is 100% every like modern video game. It was buggy. There were frequent bugs associated with it that didn't really get resolved by the time the game was done. It was microtransaction to all hell because I would argue there wasn't pay to win necessarily, but you could spend $10 and skip 5 hours of grinding and just get your character instantly, which some people would argue is pay to win. That's a philosophical question above my pay.
Yeah, that's above. Yeah. That's an entire other soapbox rant. We'd have to.
But I wouldn't argue that you're wrong in saying that it is a bit pay to win because at the end of the day, you are skipping a line that other people are having to go through, and I think there is an argument that like that is a little bit of a
it's like you having to do push-ups and go
Somebody
to the gym on
Yeah, but somebody else
Oh,
gives $10 and is like, I get to skip all that.
yeah, or you can hire, if you're rich, you can just hire a trainer to, make you buff.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
yeah. But again, I don't know enough about modern video games that I can say that definitively, but it sounds a little like it, I will say.
But like to answer the essay topic, I do
Yeah,
defend. I
in conclusion,
in conclusion, um,
FCAT, restate the prompt.
yeah, FCAT restate the prompt. I I do defend Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League. I think you guys out there who are like, oh, it's a massive betrayal of Batman. I think you're fucking idiots. I can't be nice about it. Like, it's a guy who has played Batman a million and one times, and sure he was one of the greatest Batman, but I don't think he's God Batman either, which I guess is also part of the problem. Like, I think in retrospect, Batman the Animated Series is good, but I do think it carries a lot of problems with Bruce Wayne and Batman the character.
Hmm.
For me, like I,
Interesting.
well, you know me, I like Bat Dad a lot. I like when Batman and Dick and his Robins have a really good relationship. So like
Yeah.
that part of Batman the Animated Series kind of bugs me, and
Yeah, they do hate each other once you get to Nightwing or whatever.
yeah,
They're
and I
they're
do
they're not on speaking terms, and if you get into the like extra canonical stuff where he dates Batgirl
Barbara
for a
and
while,
they have a
yeah.
baby and all that stuff. Yeah, it gets it's very gross very fast. And also,
I'm with you into that. That is the Bruce Timm Paul Dini problem that they like Barbara Gordon and Bruce Wayne for some reason and like
yeah.
going back to that well a lot.
And I like it
Uh,
when Batman gets a little bit more softer in his old age. I think the moments
mhm.
where Batman the Animated Series gets to be soft are some of the best. I wish there was a little bit more than that. I think they keep him a little bit as I am vengeance, I am in the night,
Yeah,
to an
yeah.
extent that I don't always jive with. But again, I'm not. I'll never argue with people who say, Kevin
Yeah,
Conroy.
yeah, 'cause I don't even mind that because especially when you get to uh, Bruce Wayne in Batman Beyond, which is like one of my favorite Bruce Waynes, and yes, he is definitely one of the bitterest
Yes,
Batman.
I think that one
But
really works too. Like I would
yeah, yeah,
never. I guess in a way I can never be mad at like the animated series handling of Batman because like it does lead to the canonical Batman Beyond Batman or Batman Beyond Bruce Wayne, and you're absolutely right. There isn't, I wouldn't change anything about that because that works so well for that story for him to be basically a bitter recluse old man who is just angry at
mhm.
everything, and
I
is
do, but
just
I do get you in general. I do prefer a Batman who the kids soften him up a little bit.
yeah,
He's like,
exactly.
oh, I can't be mad because I got my big beautiful family or whatever.
Exactly, Bat Dad forever. But again, Kevin Conroy is more than welcome to play a different version of a character he has played a million and one times before. Let him be evil a little bit. I'm sure he had a blast. It's not a betrayal of everything he ever was and fucking ever will be that
No,
he
she gets to change
played
the
evil.
tone of his voice slightly. That he had to have been pretty happy about that.
Yeah.
I don't
I
have
mean,
to talk like
people
the same.
just fucking went ballistic over that Batman murder scene. And I was just like, it's a fucking game for one. It's about a dude who has been in a million fucking Batman things. And at the end of the day, he is going to come back. Like, I can 100% guarantee you that is not Batman that just got shot in the head by Harley Quinn. It's just, there's
No.
no way. There's no way that it would end, that story would end like that. And sure enough, it didn't. And like, but people like weirdly and then Wonder Woman dies in that game. Like fucking the only Justice League member who dies. And like it's so weird that the game is called Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League and I knew it going in. Like you can't you there was no way they were going to actually kill the Justice League, but like on another end, fucking commit. You know what I mean? Like
Hmm.
just to be like, "Oh, you killed clones." And like, oh, that thing that you thought was definitely happening, guess what? It definitely was happening. It's just so fucking boring and just so nothing that it's really hard to like to shake that feeling that like you just spent like the last 40 hours playing this game just to kind of spin your wheels because again it ends exactly how you think it ends. The Justice League come back, they technically get the last blow on Brainiac, they take all the credit for all the work, the Suicide Squad gets saved because of course we're not going to leave a bunch of people with bombs in their heads because that's kind of mean, and then they just go off on another
Mean.
fucking adventure. Well, you know what I mean. Like
Yeah,
that's
no,
the end of it.
yeah. There would not be much to go from there, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's and then you on top of that you add the bugs, the lackluster fucking shop, the grind to get everything unlocked, and like, yeah, I'll never tell anybody who says that they hated it that they're wrong because I don't. I do think I think execution wise, I think concept wise it works, and like the
Yeah.
mechanics of it work, but I think execution wise it's horrible, and that's a combination of I think again their choices and like again it will never not boggle my mind that Red Hood isn't in season 1. And I know I keep talking about that character, but that character was in fucking Arkham Knight. So it's not like so he was established, but like the idea that you wouldn't like put your best foot forward is insane to me. And I don't know again, maybe they pitched a really good idea for Mrs. Freeze and a really good idea for Lawless, but like nobody knows those characters and nobody's gonna come out and jump on for those characters. And like even the Joker, because like the minute that character was released, everybody was kind of like, well, it's not Mark Hamill, so so I hate him. And it doesn't look
Yeah.
like Mark Hamill, it doesn't sound like Mark Hamill, so by that extent I hate him. And I do think that that's fucking stupid. Again, it's the the side of this fan base that I fucking hate because it's like
Yeah.
not
Well, it's a
everybody needs to. I mean, my favorite Batman performances aren't even fucking Cameron Conroy.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Batman Returns Batman. Whoever that guy is, the older guy, he's fucking great as an.
Michael Keaton.
No, it's not. Yeah, no. Batman, the animated Batman Returns, or Batman. It's the Batman
Oh,
Returns,
Dark
right?
Knight Returns.
Dark Knight Returns. Yes, yes, yes.
RoboCop there. Peter Weller.
Yeah, RoboCop dude is fucking amazing. He's by far my favorite, like Batman. One of my favorite Batman voices. The guy who does younger Batman for the Origin series. I don't remember his name either, but he's also really, really good. Like
Mhm.
Batman and Joker don't have to be
No,
Mark
I'm actually
Hamill.
gonna. I'm also going to shout out Diedrich Bader in Brave and the Bold. I
Yes,
think he rules.
Brave and the
Yeah.
Bold's amazing. Yeah, and as Campy Batman
Yeah.
is
But
great.
who I believe also voices him in the Harley Quinn cartoon, and I think he's one of the better Batmen because he's
Really,
just
he voices him. I haven't really. I gotta watch more of the Harley Quinn because that's actually really cool that it's him. Because yeah, there there are there are other good Batmans and Jokers. Joker's a little bit
yeah.
harder because you have. I feel like with it's the classic villain versus hero that villains are just kind of cooler. Like Mark
Mhm.
Hamill and fuck
Kevin Conroy. Yeah.
no
Yeah.
Joker. Mark Hamill and Dark Knight Joker. Give me the name.
Heath Ledger.
Heath Ledger. Heath Ledger and Mark Hamill are the goats for obvious reasons, and it's harder
Yeah.
to. I think it's harder to like I couldn't exactly name you a good animated voice Joker. Though I don't. I remember speaking of the Brave and Bold one. I remember the Brave and Bold one not being bad, but I'm
No, he's great.
hesitant.
He's a very good old 40s era Joker, which is pretty
Yeah.
cool.
Fucking
Um.
the White Knight. Batman the 80s Batman Joker is also really good.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, no, no. I'm with you on that. I do think like I love Kevin Conroy and I love
Mark
Mark
Hamill.
Hamill, but
Yep.
I do think that there is a contingent of people that think he's the end all be all, and they can often be very annoying.
Yeah. No. Yeah. I've listened to people that just say Kevin Conroy is Batman, or Batman is Kevin Conroy. It's just like, no, man, you
It's
have to.
it's those people that say that Batman: Mask of the Phantasm is the best Batman movie, and I'm
Yeah,
kind of like, it's very good. I got nothing wrong. I love that movie. I got no beef with it, but I do find that a little silly.
yeah.
That level of
It's you gotta accept, and I'm talking to you, Suicide Squad, Kill the Justice League haters. You gotta accept that there is room in your heart for other Batmen and other Jokers. It's just the long and short of it, man.
Mhm.
They're the Batman will be we will be bones. We'll be fucking dust in the fucking earth, and Batman will still be around. Like that's just it's just the way it is. The one that you think is the greatest in 50 years, people will be saying that the new guy that you hate is the greatest. That is the epitome of change. Look at me getting philosophical, but like,
No, that's how it goes. Every Batman, you're like, that's the worst ever. That's never gonna work, and then they like him, and then they get mad like when they cast a new one. They're
yeah,
like, that's yeah. People were like, oh, Robert Pattinson, ew. And then it's like, no, I like him. And now it's, I'm sure if they cast, one of the challengers as Batman, people would be like, that guy, ew.
yeah, and
Whatever.
well, people are championing for Pattinson to be the DCU Batman. That's the way of the world. Like,
Yeah. Which
I
apparently is still does not have a completed script.
yeah, well, it'll be. I
That
mean,
the Batman 2 might never happen.
but yeah, so there are things to hate about Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League, and there are things to like about Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League. But again, to bring it back to roasting thing, it is a fucking bad game. I will never it is bad, but not bad in the ways that you, and again I'm speaking to you, the audience. It's not bad in the ways that you so vehemently spit out. There are good elements to it. It has good
Yeah.
gunplay. It has good movement. The story is not terrible until it gets very, very bad. But like the
Not
initial
terrible until
game,
it is.
the initial game is not horrible. I'd almost argue you just play the initial game and then you just pretend. Then you go write fan fiction for whatever you want the ending to be, and it will probably be fucking better. And it will probably have taken more effort than what they gave you in the end. And that is
Mhm.
sad, but that is a byproduct again of everybody basically being like, well, this is a disaster and not gonna go anywhere. So we are gonna run from it as fast as we fucking can. But for the people out there who again are like, oh, it's a betrayal of the Arkham verse, it's a betrayal. That was the other thing. A lot of people were also like, oh, it's a betrayal of the Arkham verse. I can't believe it did the Arkham verse so dirty, yada yada. It's a fucking video game universe.
Yeah.
And it's a video game universe where it ended technically with Bruce Wayne blowing up his house. That
Yeah.
whatever had to come after that was not going to be good because again, it was having to set up it was having to continue a story that was so very clearly not meant to continue. Like, you cannot get more final than Alfred opening the door for fucking Bruce Wayne walking in, and then 10 minutes later, the house blowing up. Like, anything that any way that Bruce Wayne comes back after that is going to be idiotic to begin with. So you gotta roll with the idiocracy. Also, he technically loses all of his money, but because at the end of Arkham he dies because they presume him dead because he blew up his fucking mansion. And it's implied that like Dick got all the money in the will, but then in Suicide Squad he's Batman again and with his Batman tech and like a secret bat cave inside of Metropolis. So did Dick just have to give him a loan? Like it's very weird again that they have to bring him back because like they very clearly like finitied his story. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
I guess he just went to Dick and was like, "Hey, can you still support me on the side? Give me some money." Yada yada
Yeah.
yada.
He
Yeah,
came like he's Will Smith's dad in a Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. He's come by
exactly.
for
Why don't you want
come
me anymore?
exactly. He's coming back to his son just when he needs something.
I always wondered how like The whole thing with Bruce Wayne, like, and it's never explained in the Arkham verse, but like, if Bruce Wayne gets outed, there's no way that like the kids don't get outed as well. You know what I mean? Like, how do you explain? Oh, yeah, I'm Batman, but the acrobat that like has been extremely buff for all of his life also was not Robin. That was another dude.
Yeah, I don't know. It's like a house of cards that collapses very fast. As soon as he's outed, it's like, oh well, then clearly you're Robin and you're Batgirl and you're Nightwing. Like it just like the pieces, the dots get connected real fast.
Yeah, no, it's very weird. But anyways, so to end the rant, the roast, Suicide Squad is not a fucking good game. You would agree, right? Based on what you know of it.
Yeah, that does not sound great. I would, if I were to restart playing video games, that would not be my first.
No, I would not. You would not start there. But again, if your idea of it is that it fucking ruins some like childhood dream you had of Batman and Joker and like that whole
No,
universe and
that's
that
not.
whole
That is
game,
not why it doesn't
that is
sound
not
good.
why it is bad. That is as a matter that is far and few between the problems with that game. It's okay not to like it. It's okay to love Arkham, the Arkham series. It's okay to love Kevin Conroy Batman, but you are taking the wrong things from the game if your mindset is this game sucks because Kevin Conroy got to be evil for a little bit and then got shot in the head by Harley Quinn, because it is not even Batman who has that happen to him. It's very clearly not Batman. All right. That's the roast. That's the roast, everybody. Turn the lights off. Everybody, we're good to go. I have been the multiversal archivist. David has been David, who has
I
always
sure have.
who has been gracious enough to let me yell in his ear for 2
Oh no
hours and
no no
six
no!
minutes. Actually, you
It
know
is
what?
it is it is a privilege.
This one was an hour shorter than fucking Brave New World. That was
Ah, we'll have to
we.
try to beat the record next
Yeah,
time.
next time maybe I'll do it in an hour and less, and we'll just keep going down until it's like a 30 minute. So it's like a 30-minute pizza. Oh, but anyways, we've ranted and raved at you long enough. Good night, America. Good night, the world. And if you come into the comics and come into the comments and tell me how wrong I am for not being more mad about Kevin Conroy.
Yeah, I need more angry comments. We gotta make that happen.
Yeah, I need more people telling me that I'm wrong, my opinion sucks, and that I should go die in a ditch. All right.
Yeah, listeners, start getting mad.
Yeah, I want your anger. I've called you all idiots multiple times across both of these rants, and I want some fire back.
Yeah, let's get to it.